Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, July 17th. Yep, July 17th. We are on the Americas account. Let's re-roll this one. We need to win 3 games to get 200 gold for the Fire Festival. Win 2 games any class. And play a bunch of taunt minions. And it looks like we have a new round of Tavern Brawls. So Delirium has crushed on the Black Rock Mountain, take control of an evil boss now with 100% more farm, and dungeon crawl your way out. How fast can you beat Black Rock Mountain? Now what will be interesting here is we need to complete 4 victories to get this done, but also on the European and Asian account I didn't finish last week's, so I assume it will just have ended at that point. So I just need to pick somebody that has a chance of having taunt creatures. So would that be Paladin or Priest? That's pretty much your only options. Maybe Druid. Let's go with Paladin, play as Dr. Boom, and move on from there. Now, I don't have a lot to talk about as far as what I did over the past couple days, because it was Amazon Prime Day, also known as the 50th anniversary of the first lunar landing. It seems weird that they would put Prime Day on that anniversary or around that anniversary and not either sell it as an important, we know what we're doing and we're celebrating the lunar landing every year with these sales, but instead they just have the sales and like there's no iconography or implication that they're even believing it. It almost, if I was to put on a tinfoil hat, makes me wonder, does the CEO of Amazon or somebody else big in power in Amazon.com not believe in the lunar landing, and maybe there are conspiracy theorists about that, or you know, it could be that they just have such a huge ego that they want to be bigger than arguably one of the most significant projects as far as space exploration and science in the past 50 years, at the very least. I want to get this on the field the next turn, so let's just do that instead. So yeah, looking through Amazon Prime Day, I said in the last stream that there usually aren't a ton of great sales on Prime Day, but I make a big deal of it anyways because it's a good example. Good point to actually spend money if you're the type who doesn't ever want to spend any money on them yourself. By which I mean, like, you don't buy anything that you need 4 or 5 years into needing that thing. So did that put... I guess I put 2 extra copies in. Not 4. Well, this could be interesting in the later games, for sure. Although we didn't play any taunt cards. So, while there was a lot of things on sale, not a significant amount of them were things that I personally needed, and a lot of the lightning deals weren't that good. A lot of the deals weren't that good. It doesn't seem like for the 2 or 3 years I've been looking at the Prime Day sales that they're getting much better, and not a lot of the deals are slickdeals.net. Now there is a sale that may still even be going on now, where you can get a Samsung Galaxy 10e for a pretty cheap price of $500 for an unlocked phone. That's a pretty good deal. But also Best Buy has a somewhat better deal if you're activating a new account and new line for, I think, the same phone. So it kind of gives the indication that the 10E might be on the verge of getting replaced, or with maybe, I don't know, an 11E or a 10 different designation. 10E is missing the curved screen and a slightly less powerful CPU, I think, but it's not really a bad phone by any means. It's probably at the bottom end of top tier phones, flagship phones, as it were. So that was a kind of a good deal. There was an excellent deal that sold out so fast I wasn't even able to purchase it. A entire swing set, like a child's play set. It had 2 swings, a tower you climbed up, a slide, a climbing net, I believe, also. Just something that was worth $1,000 at retail. Or at least it was labeled as a retail of $1,000, was being sold for 61% off, down to about $350, and it sold out in a couple of minutes, and I was going to get that as a gift for someone who actually needs a swing set, and this has actually promised their kids a swing set, play set thing. But unfortunately it sold out so fast that I couldn't even get around it. People saw it coming for sure. So what did I just do? I re-equipped the hook and then I powered it up. Interesting. So yeah, that by far was the best deal. Everything else, it depends on whether you want or not. There was a vegetable chopper mandolin set that came with like anti-cut resistant gloves and a lot of inserts, so a lot of different ways to use the mandolin to cut different kinds of vegetables, dice, cube, slice, ripple cut, things like that. A mandolin, if you're not familiar, it's the number one thing that people on cooking shows end up cutting themselves with, because they don't use the protection guard. So it's a simplistic box, kind of like a cheese grater with a lot different cutting edges. That was a pretty good deal that I missed because it was a lightning deal. But that's pretty much the only 2 things that I even wanted to get that I did want to get. Now I did buy a electronic device that I was hoping for competition in the video doorbell set, and by that I mean competition that isn't all just top tier Ring doorbells or Nest Hello doorbells, which were being sold quite a bit. Like, I don't want a Nest video doorbell because you have to pay a monthly service for it. You're getting into using technology that is the most likely to be hacked, since it's what everybody else gives. But there's a bunch of video doorbells that have been sold in China and Japan and Asian countries for a long time, but they never go on sale because they're not very well known of. They have weird names. But I found one that was about half off on the price, and then I got an email immediately going, oh, this was a pricing error, we're not going to fulfill it. And that peeved me a lot. Like, I think it is Amazon.com's legal and moral requirement that if they're going to allow third-party sellers, they have to hold third-party sellers to the prices that they list. or at the very least, I would like to see that seller kicked out of their service, which maybe they did get kicked out, but that is certainly annoying. But I knew I was getting a deal, so it's not completely unsurprising that it was a pricing mistake. A lot of the slickdeals.net sales are pricing mistakes, and a lot of times they do get rejected and canceled. However, that now means that I will need to go back and order it for the full price, because there was no real discount there, and there never has been. I've been looking for several years. I plan on trying to do something with the video doorbell I buy to connect it directly into a security camera system. That way the video doorbell acts as just one of the cameras on a 8-channel camera system, and integrates that nicely. But the two technologies are definitely very separate from very different groups of developers that don't communicate well with each other, clearly, and there's a good chance it will work, because theoretically all it is an analog video signal coming out, and an analog RCA audio signal coming out. It's just a weird wire, so I would just have to make an adapter wire, well, two, to integrate the two systems. But yet, who knows, it might not work too, and there is always that potential that it will just blow up the system. And worst case scenario, if it doesn't work and it doesn't blow up the system, then you just would have two separate things that do somewhat similar things. A video doorbell and a security system both are to increase security in some small part, although arguably I would say a lot of what a video doorbell is built around is also is convenience. So yeah, that was annoying. Things that didn't go on sale that I was like, I also missed an external hard drive that was a lightning deal thing. I need to buy an external hard drive at some point, so I'll just wait for the next sale. That's something that's likely to have a sale pretty regularly. Not a lot of the slickdeals.net sales were Amazon Prime sales for those 2 days, just as a reiterance of the fact that most of these sales weren't of any interest. Like Amazon Prime Day and Amazon Prime in general is for people who who are building their lives, recently wedded people, things like that. It's not as useful for people who are in the prime of their lives as far as items they have, and I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I've hoarded and maintained everything I've wanted. So yeah, there was some things I got, but I got a new internal SSD for my computer, so theoretically now I'll have more than enough space to record video to. The question will be, do I want to try to move my current SSD installation of Windows to the installation of the new disk? I think I'll probably first install the SSD, which is an M2 stick, Evo 970 Evo Pro, I believe, is what I got. 500 gigabytes. So still not super big. Like it kind of is just falling right in line with what I would have right now, because I have like a Samsung Evo, probably 840 or something along that line. So So yeah, I'll probably install it, do a speed test through the Samsung Magician software. That's the drive tuner software for Samsung SSDs. See what the difference in read and write actually will be, and then I'd probably have to get something that could do a Linux style direct disk cloning copy. It's not something that it would be inherently recommended. But yeah, if I can move everything over to the new SSD and it's faster, then I'd want Windows 10 to run off of that, and then I can record on the slightly slower current SSD that I have that has also a lot more wear and tear on it, so putting more wear and tear on that would be good. Now it doesn't, because it's two 500 gigabyte SSDs plus on my computer. I also have a I have a regular hard drive that's, I think, about 4 terabytes. You could still run into issues where I'm recording a long series and I've filled up the old hard drive completely, and that worked in some weird way to make me want to use both of them. But that wouldn't be, that'd be a very unique circumstance anyway, so I don't think I should have to worry about that too much. The reason why I need an external hard drive is different than why I needed a internal SSD. The external hard drive is to get back to fixing my backup server, which the problem with that is that the RAID array I have set up is just not well designed and configured. Learning how to configure RAID arrays is hard, to say the least, and so I want to remove all the data that is somewhat corrupt. At least some small portion of it's corrupt, and so it's proving even more difficult as we go along to try and fix that. There we go. This would do 1 to 4 damage to a random enemy. Yeah, there's like baby monitors and clothing and just things that I don't need that were on sale, but yeah, not a lot of other things, and not great deals. What I can say I noticed this year compared to previous years is it seemed like there was considerably fewer items on sale this Prime Day in total. and considerably fewer gadgets and STEM, science, technology type things on sale. I did not see a Arduino kit per se. I didn't really see any Raspberry Pi cases or sets. And in previous years, there had been sales around that kind of stuff, and it isn't. I feel that there is a chance that Amazon.com is trying to de-emphasize itself as a singular let's see. Well, I'm gonna die. But how is this gonna work? Because if I kill these guys, will these guys happen first, or will these guys happen first? This is an interesting test. I could end my turn and run the chance of him drawing a bomb, which odds are kind of good. Or I can do this now, and then there's a chance that these would activate first and kill me, and there's a chance that these would activate first and I'd win, or this is just all going to be a tie. So we're looking for... we kind of don't care who wins the brawl. 3 damage, -4 damage, -7 damage. So we tied, which counts as a defeat, but I think in this case you get to play again. So they say defeat because they don't have a animation for tie. Of course, this boss is the boss that gives me more trouble than any of the other bosses I've run into so far. Yeah, it does feel like Amazon.com is focusing not even as a bookseller like they originally were, but as I don't even know what the best description is. That they're focusing more as a clothing / maybe a little bit of movies, maybe a little books, / some other items, but not too many other items. There's definitely a decreased interest in being your one-stop shop, and you frankly could go on a few online shopping trips to Amazon.com and get less reception or not as good of a experience as going to Walmart.com, just because that would be how Walmart's going for more of that super center feel. And as far as computer components, sadly you still have this issue in which you might be better off going to you might be better off going to Newegg, even though Newegg's not particularly the best option. Job done. Alright, let's start covering the news because I don't have a clue how long we'll have today. I did do some scheduling, so Doom 2016 is now all scheduled and ready to go. So I'm, I guess, proud to say that, but there's still the Zombie U needs to be scheduled, and the Steam follow list cleanup needs to be scheduled, and a bunch of Hearthstone episodes need to be scheduled. I'm thinking there will be a kind of large build up. Let's see. Go ahead and just do that right in this turn. Alright. So, again, you do something like this, and that'll kill me. Yep, I just killed myself for no reason there. All these bombs are coming from that position that it filled into. Alright. So we're just holding on to packets until the next card pack opening. We don't have any more daily quests, so this is a nice Wednesday, and we just need to get one more victory. And so when we restart here, it should be pretty easy to pick, well, anybody. But let's go with Rafam here. And so that's kind of an easy, abrupt ending to the Americas account. I don't think I have a story to show you here, but yet another Japanese anime game has been censored on the PS3, at least in one scene. Some underwear / pantsuit, as they call it, was covered with adding skirt to text. What? No. Textile? No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Fabric. Yeah, ruffled skirt fabric. It was added to show underwear. Apparently, also in the land of censorship, but in anime, which just seems to always be the first line of defense for censorship, is there's like a cooking anime, I believe, that was very popular a couple years ago that has been brought to Toonami. I'm not going to try and remember the name of it because it is a very Japanese name. But the joke of this food cooking anime was that the food was so good that it would leave everyone who took a bite of the food as it was being cooked in this state of ecstasy, and they would show these animations in which their clothes fall off and they're having this orgasmic experience with just one bite of the food. So it was a little lewd, but it's a joke lewdness too. So that's being censored on Toonami according to Toonami's standards and practices, or safety board, or whatever it is. It was the exact same title of a group inside of Toonami as apparently Sony has, and I don't believe Toonami is in any way owned by Sony, not even in part. But yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with video games. It's just, yeah, since censorship seems to be on the rise in America, at least, and that's never going to end well. Deal 3 damage, draw cards.
I'm not ready.
There we go. That should be a victory. I'm trying to think if there was any other stories that didn't come up through my regular news sources. Clearly there is a slight problem that my regular news sources of Gamatsu, Gamasutra, and Tech Raptor are not enough, because there are stories I pick up otherwise. In the world of YouTube, it seems like at least 3 people who worked with Yogscast are now no longer working with Yogscast because they were being creepy. Although perhaps I've heard that some of the people that quote unquote worked for Yogscast were more volunteers, and there was just, it was an organization in sense that you could very easily enter it, and that was that. Ooh, this is interesting. It did not finish that Tavern Brawl, so we can just continue the Tavern Brawl, I guess. Alright, draw cards. I have no idea how this is gonna work, but whatever. I think I probably need to just lose real quick on this. I at no point thought that they would leave it going. I thought it would just say you conceded, or this battle ended.
I hear your heart beating.
It could be. This could be a case of also the European account not rolling over to the new Tavern Brawl yet, but that would make sense. So this is the guy who, his weapon gets stronger with every card you play. Alright, first bit of news, we do have an article here. Komatsu has the Japanese PS4 Yumi no Naki He lineup promo. This looks like a flat 2D game of some sort. This is very possibly going to get content ID claimed, even though there's no reason it should. It's legally not copyrightable since it's an advertising. So this seems to be a collection of several things: Monster Hunter, Iceborne. Let's see. It's a musical promotion, apparently. It's a music video. Alright. But it's not just that. Because also it's got, like, I think this is Soul Seraph. Or can we get this to play twice as fast? Playback speed. Let's speed this up so we don't have to watch all that. Borderlands 3, oddly, getting in the list here for PlayStation 4 lineups. Borderlands 3 obviously was coming to the PS3, but it's hardly an exclusive. Here we've got Tokyo 2020 Olympics. That looks interesting. Not terribly well animated. Here we have a Japanese baseball game and a soccer game. I suppose there could be a point at some point. Here's Attack on Titan. There could be a point where you had enough FIFA fans leave FIFA and move over to some of the Japanese soccer football games. Many of them are good. Here's a Gundam game. So I think we've heard about most of these games. Fortnite. So there's going to be just Sony PlayStation trying to get more Sony fans, particularly Japanese Sony fans, to buy more PlayStations and play more games on the PlayStation. That lineup is oddly almost 100% Western style games, and until you get to the end here, and then you start to see a quick showing of a few JRPG games. So I would say this trailer in general at best is getting is going to hit 50% Japanese games versus 50% Western games, where clearly this is a Japanese-centric ad, so it should have done a much better job than that. And I really am not seeing any new games in that video, and I'm really not seeing anything that would convince the likes of me that it really wouldn't convince me that you're in a good position that you'd want to buy a PS4 if you haven't bought one already in Japan or in the West. It feels like, again, this is an instance of the headquarters of Sony Interactive Entertainment not being really wise enough to even know that that what the audience really wants. I guess I can hit that. No indies are certainly shown. The full list here is Monster Hunter of games that was Monster Hunter World, Iceborne, Final Fantasy 15, Shadowbringers, PixArt, Borderlands 3, Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, the official video game. That's the second subtitle of Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Pro Yaku Spirits, that's the baseball game. eFootball Pro Evolution Soccer 2020, or PES 2020, and Titan 2 Final Battle Dreams, which is that weird game that's not really a game. SD Gundam G Generation, Crossrays, and Fortnite. And then those are the main things that are shown according to this Gamatsu article. The other games that are less focused on here, you have Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, which needs to be a success but probably won't. Yakuza 5, which will be a huge success, so there's no reason why Yakuza 5 would not have been more focused. Atelier, Ryza, Ever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout, that's all one title. The Atelier series, being a JRPG series, is growing, I think, in popularity quite a bit. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense that wouldn't be up front. AI, the Somnium Files, is I think, pretty big Japanese game. It might be a visual novel, but it's still a pretty big Japanese visual novel. Code Vein, huge Bloodborne, Bloodborne / Dark Souls spiritual successor. That's a huge game. It shouldn't be relegated down to flashes. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. That's a big game. It shouldn't just be flashes. Let's see. Ys 9, Monstrum Nox. That's going to be a huge JRPG game. That shouldn't be relegated. Contra Rogue Corps, probably not going to be a big game. Ghost Recon Breakpoint might be a big game. And Oninaki, I believe, is kind of a middle tier game. So a considerable amount of Japanese games not being focused on in this video. Is that because they don't have anything to show? It could be that. It could totally be that. But it might also be a case of Sony of California not understanding the Sony of Japan marketplace. There isn't a company called Sony of California, but that's where their headquarters are now, so I think it's kind of fair to start calling it that. Although if I was going to get a little rude, I'd just call it SJW Sony. But yeah, let's move on from that. It is an example, in my opinion, that seems to tell me that if they are going to have a good if they are going to have a good turn of events, what they need to have happen is, if they're going to have a good lineup for, what am I trying to say? Yeah. If they're going to have a good lineup for the PlayStation 5 when it comes out, they're going to have to really step up their game, because this lineup for the PlayStation 4, as we're approaching the end, is not great. And we're not seeing any real exclusives. One can only assume Last of Us 3 and everything else is everything that you would be interested in would have been already gone. $13 cards or coins. This and this. And 1 and 2. I can't get up to 8 mana here to play this, so all I can really do is do this. And then here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here. I didn't even really plan it that way. Interesting, that didn't actually pull all of my cards. Well, that worked out way better than I thought it would. Moving on, we have a game on Komatsu called Puzzles and Dragons Gold as a teaser trailer, so is everything going to play at twice the speed? Maybe. It's a new Puzzles and Dragons game, or a collection of Puzzles and Dragons games. I think if you're a kid and you want a match 3 Puzzles and Dragons style game, Puzzles and Dragons Gold might be good for you. Player versus player multiplayer focused game will launch the window in Japan in late 2019 in North America. It gives no statement here so far as whether it's coming to, well, it's tagged the Switch, so I have to believe that it's going to the Switch. So now that we've won this victory, is it counting as victories for this week's Tavern Brawl, I wonder? Oh. Or are we just somehow going to win this for no good reason? Well, at least we're getting something done. Let's see. Next article, we have SD Gundam G Generation Cross Array launches on November 28th in Asia with English subtitles. So this game may not actually make it to the West. You may have to import it, but if it has English subtitles, you can probably play it. It's coming out for... seems to be for the PS4 and Switch. Would want to see maybe some gameplay, but if it's called G Gundam, I'm assuming it's kind of smaller, cutesy characters, because I think that's what the G Gundam series was about. You can see there's a lot of characters and cards and stats here, and it looks like a lot of this might be just a positional placement strategy game and not an actual fighting game. And these fights may just be cutscenes that you see. Yep. Seems pretty simplistic. I don't think that would be the Gundam game for me, frankly, if I was going to try and get into Gundam games, but there is also, I guess, some possibility that there is no Gundam game for me, or maybe the Gundam G Generation Cross Rays tells a lot of the story, and that's why it doesn't have much of the gameplay. You and other demons you have. Let's see, if I could play this, let's see, could I play this though? You play this and you get a bunch of coins, and that amount should be 8, which means next turn I might be able to play this. If not, I may have to wait 2 turns. Major Nelson announces pretty much every game that comes out, and so there's this game called Aritana and the Twin Masks that he announced, which I've never heard of, and so I wanted to see perhaps if it was on Steam. So I'm gonna do some searching right now and see if there's a Steam list here. Nope, it is apparently not a game that is on PC, which is a shame because it had an interesting image for, let's see. Alright, we have 2 over here, and we'll never get the rope because we're playing Tavern Brawl against a AI component. So I'm just gonna hope this works. 1. This is not gonna work. What do I need? I'm gonna take this and play this. That should work fine. So here we have the image that I saw, Aritana and the Twin Masks. Now there was a game where there was 2 kids that were basically tied to each other, I think, and they had 2 masks. It did not look anything like this. So unless they redid the art completely, I'm assuming this is a different game. It in the screenshots looks like it's a different game. Well, that leaves me with the hope that this will someday get ported to PC and that it is good. I like Native American stories, certainly. We don't get a lot of them in the United States these days, while we went for several decades getting a lot of Native American type stories, although how accurate they were probably weren't accurate at all. But yeah, video game developers, particularly Japanese game developers, don't know anything about United States Native Americans culture, so they really don't do anything. And I would argue that even most game developers in the West, in the United States, don't know a lot about Native American culture, because it's a lot of oral history and a lot of stuff that if you are not near or born as a Native American, you will just not hear about at all. It's a past that is quickly being forgotten, and a culture that is quickly being forgotten, and it's a shame in a lot of ways. All demons in your hand, +1/+1.
Everyone has demons.
Come on. Alright, in the turn. First game we have on Steam today to look at is called Space Bomb. It looks like it is a player versus player spleef style of game, although maybe not spleef. I don't even know if that's the right term. That old Minecraft game. Player versus player game, for lack of any other terminology though. It's early access, $3.99, and it's multiplayer only. English and Portuguese, Brazilian as the languages. Not the kind of game I would cover, and it doesn't look like it's offering anything unique or special. So I couldn't imagine too many people would be super excited about it. Let's go ahead and take that. And I guess in the turn. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Dustnet, which looks like it's a very low effort, simplistic textured 3D shooter of some sort. It kind of feels a little bit like Res Infinite, if Res Infinite was just done really, really badly in a black space void. But yeah, otherwise I don't like what I'm seeing. It's discounted to $5.09, and it's only multiplayer again and English only. So no indication here that it requires VR, but it does support VR, and that might have, in a small part, explained some things, but it doesn't really explain enough. That is still kind of ridiculous. Wireframe technology, when the Virtual Boy came out, when they first introduced 3D in the Virtual Boy, was kind of excusable. Wireframe technology nowadays, as this is the 4th or 5th attempt at VR, it is not really excusable. Let's see. Keep on playing. See, next game we have on Steam here is called Kill Squad, which looks like it's an early access shooter of some sort. looks like it's a top-down strategy game where you play with a team. It's discounted to $19.99. Says it's playable single player. I'm not particularly impressed by what I see, though. A co-op RPG where bounty hunters raid planets for glory. I feel like I'm probably being a little too critical here. There is nothing here that's terrible. This feels like this might be a almost Jedi Star Wars inspired game. I'm seeing some lasers and lightsaber type items. I'm gonna put this on the follow list and give it a chance. More than likely it will never come out of early access, or people will lose interest in it very quickly, but I think it deserves a chance.
Hey pal, Trade Prince Gallowix here.
Alright. There we go. In the turn. So that'll go on the follow list.
Where's my cat? For bloodwork.
Alright. This. This and that and this I did not play that right at all. I should have used Betrayal a lot earlier. Alright, well, over here we have another game called Let's Sing 2019. I could never play a singing game. This is Plug-in Digital, who are at best 50-50 as far as games they publish. It sounds like it's a singing game with maybe some music videos. This is the kind of game that you'll lose the licenses to the music and then the game will get removed rather quickly. And not the kind of game you could really play on YouTube because it'd get content ID claimed like crazy. It's discounted to $24.89. Single player, online multiplayer, several languages, 10 achievements. Here's a full list of what songs are listed. That doesn't even seem like it's a lot. Like, full playlist is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Less than 30, I would say. Less than 30 songs for almost $30. That's not a good deal. And certainly not anything I could ever play with, so I'm not going to bother to put that on the follow list.
The doctor is in.
Alright. Or damage to a minion. And do this. And then in return. Next game we have on Steam is called Hack Me 3. This is supposedly a hacking sim game, I would guess, but it doesn't look very good. I think I've seen Hack Me 1 and Hack Me 2, English-Russian game. It's probably a Russian troll game, for lack of a better descriptor. If it's not a troll game, it's at least a very low-effort game from the screenshots alone, and not worthy of being put on the follow list. Let's see. This.
How much is this worth to you?
That.
Come, try your luck.
That.
Listen here.
That.
Job's done.
Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Good Old Games puts Heaven's Vault up for sale after declining to sell the game at launch. The CD Projekt owner, storefront Good Old Games, has walked back an earlier decision about Inkle Studios' Heaven's Vaults, announcing that it has changed its mind and will now sell the game on the platform. In a statement picked up by PC Gamer, Good Old Games Global Communication Manager, let's skip past that part. We don't need to read this entire article word for word. Battle cries trigger twice. Couple lackeys. Battle cry.
Double time and double pay.
Go.
Again.
Job's done.
In a statement picked up by PC Gamer, they said the change of heart came after checking the final game and how it was perceived by gamers, and received numerous requests from the users suggesting to release it. So previously, I believe Good Old Games said it was not good enough for them to sell, and inherently, this was more of an issue of I don't want to change this because this doubles battle cries. This was an issue of Good Old Games trying to make itself look like it's a curated, nice experience when really it's just not equipped to handle selling everything at the same time compared to Valve and Steam, who can handle, at least to a certain level, everything that comes out.
Job's done.
Let's see. Inkle launched Heaven's Vault on PC and PS4 in April. Good Old Games turned down the game at the time, telling Inkle co-founder Joe Hedfrey the game wouldn't be a good fit. They gave reasons stemming from their experience playing an earlier build of the game and what they think the audience wants. Humphrey, the co-founder of Inkle, told PC Gamer shortly before the game's launch. Both then and now, Humphrey said that a platform like Good Old Games can make a huge difference for games created by small studios. So this is a article that could have been misinterpreted, and there were several times as I was trying to read it that I was saying, did Good Old Games own some share of Heaven's Vault, or were they the publisher of Heaven's Vault? But no, this is simply a case of the company Good Old Games not wanting to publish or to sell on their storefronts that game for what is kind of no good reasons, or at best you could call them arbitrary reasons.
The doctor is in.
I guess I could just end the game here, so I should. Meanwhile, I would say that Heaven's Vault, not particularly the most successful game out there. People are somewhat liking it, but we gotta rejoice apparently. So now we need to play Hero Power several times and play Beasts and play 3 games. So yeah, we want to use. We can't do anything more. It's crashed. Let's go ahead and relaunch the app and see what that does. This will be interesting if somehow it crashed completely. Meanwhile, Gamma Sutra has an article. Gearbox wants crossplay in Borderlands 3, but it won't launch with it. Now, last thing I had heard, they said there was going to be a announcement about something big, but it wasn't crossplay for Borderlands 3. Now, the only story I've seen in the couple days since that tweet was out is them talking about crossplay in Borderlands 3. Now, crossplay is still just a PlayStation issue. Like, there's really no reason why Borderlands 3 could not work with crossplay. Maybe they don't have the programming for it, but I doubt that's really the case. Alright. Seems like we're still good. So challenge 7 of 8. Crossplay, particularly for a game like Borderlands 3, makes Borderlands 3 work better than Borderlands 2 or Borderlands the pre-sequel, because I don't think those games have crossplay. It's getting to the point where Sony not allowing crossplay on their platform is hurting Sony more than it's hurting anybody else, or helping Sony, or helping anybody else. Sorry. So, if I was Sony, I would probably start to embrace crossplay, at least with the PlayStation 5, and make that a big selling point to sell the new hardware more than anything else. Let's see. What did he just do to destroy that? I just played the spell. Okay. Yeah, the current statement is, quote, crossplay will come, quote, as soon as practicable. Yeah, this is that word he used that's not a real word. Practicable after launch. So they quoted him, and I'm gonna have to look up it. Just tell me if this word is a real word. Practicable. What does that stand for? I need to zoom in. Why is my font so Small. Able to be done or put into practice successfully. Alright, so I learned a new word. Practicable. Or maybe that's how you spell practical. Well, whatever. The next question was, what's the difference between practical? So there's a difference there. You could look up if you're interested.
How much is this worth to you?
But what's funny about this, however, is
What's happening?
this. There's really not a new. Like he put out this tweet. July 15th, so it's been a couple of days. It said the new announcement would have was going to happen the next day. So the question is, what was that announcement? Because that announcement didn't go by. Nothing. Nobody reported on his announcement at all, by the looks of it. So I'm looking on Randy Pitchford's Twitter feed, which is something I never want to do. But let's see what this announcement's. The Nerdist Network is promoting some Borderlands 3 artwork cosplay contests and fan art at the Museum of Mayhem somewhere around San Diego Comic-Con. See, there's this trailer that they put together called So Happy Together, which is something. It's just a trailer. You, me, plus a billion guns. So, Randy Pitchford's a liar, and as far as his own Twitter feed seems to be, he said that the announcement that was to happen the next day as of the tweet was not about crossplay. The announcement that seems to have happened is, yes, we're working to have crossplay. Which is completely dishonest. I mean, you can't shake it any other way. It's just total BS. It's a total lie. Steal a coin, why not?
I'll take that.
At least that's basically all I can take. If there was some other announcement that was not about crossplay, then I guess I'm wrong. But again, we have to roll back the clock on talking about Randy Pitchford because he did something stupid again. When literally he didn't have to tweet at all. At the very least, he didn't make himself clear as far as to what he was talking about.
I'll take that.
A tango?
Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Get a job. I Gotcha Studios is hiring a Unity developer. That's in Stockholm, Sweden. If you're interested in that. We still got a decent amount of news. We should start burning through this. The fact that I've been playing against AIs has made this a slower experience. For sure. Gamma Sutra has an article here. NetEase nabs a minority stake in Dead by Daylight developer Behavior Interactive. Interesting. So more Chinese companies are owning bits of other companies, although the Dead by Daylight developer is managed to be slightly successful. I don't suspect it will stay successful for very long unless they're deep into development of their next game. There is something interesting I heard that Informa, the parent company of Gamma Sutra, is apparently also one of the two major companies that runs a lot of the conventions and the events that happen. And we know that they run the Game Developers GDC conference, I believe. But if they run several others, interesting. And in particular, this was stated that it was like anime cons in particular that they might own and run. Now I might be wrong, and there might be two Informas, but it is always interesting and probably smart to look into who's running the show in the background. Of course, that doesn't have too much to do with video games, other than if a specific video game company is blacklisted by Informa and they can't show their games at half of the conventions that happen around the world, that could affect the game industry. There's plenty of smaller Japanese game developers out there that would not be sold booth space or couldn't afford or would never even be offered booth space at conventions. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. GameStop taps the design firm R/GA to help keep its store relevant. I do not disagree for a second that GameStop needs to redesign its stores and clean up their stores and make them look better and more inviting and not like a dirty, cramped VHS rental place. That being said, GameStop probably doesn't have money to really spend on improving the look of their stores, and that's only going to increase foot traffic so much that perhaps it can slightly counterbalance the loss of foot traffic due to online sales, but that's about it. But I won't deny it that a lot of GameStops in the United States are either in malls where you kind of don't want to go in there because there's just too many people and it's too cramped and it's a little dim and it's a little dingy and dark. It's not something that I would say feels dangerous, but it just doesn't feel inviting, if that's a fair description. And then a lot of GameStops are in strip malls, so you would have to stop in the strip mall where there's no other reason why you'd want to be there, and you'd have to go into these areas that are getting a little dark and dingy. Generally speaking, I think if you get to one that is its own independent store and not in the mall, you tend to have a slightly bigger, relatively speaking, there's a slightly bigger I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, square footage, just amount of space there, but it doesn't really change anything too much. It definitely doesn't feel like you're going through any kind of layout. When you go through a Walmart or a Target or an IKEA's, are kind of the most blatant about it. They have a path they want you to follow. There is a loop around the store that they want you to take. Whereas in GameStops, it really isn't that. You can walk right up to the counter in most GameStops, which is not what you would really want people to do. You'd want to make them walk all the way around in a loop to get to the counter and then leave relatively quickly from the counter to the exit. Let's see. Alright. Here's what I'm gonna do. Going to play this. I'm gonna play this. And then I'm gonna play this, 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 and this. And then I can play this. And then I can play this. And then I can play this. And that'll be 24-24. And we can win the next turn. Let's see. I'm not going to show this, but Komatsu has an article here you can look up. Conception Plus for PS4s has modified the quote class mating rituals. It is not being applied to the PC version. What this inherently means is that the PC version will be same as the original Japanese version, and the scenes in question are anime girls in states of undress, I imagine, of nudity, total nudity, but with glowing light, so there's actually no detail being shown. It's important to remember Conception Plus is a story based around the idea that you are dating and mating with a collection of people to unlock star children who are going to save the world. So the entire storyline is an adult storyline from the beginning. So this is a game that I don't think will be Teen Plus. It will be M, if not potentially even going close to adults only, although I imagine it will just be rated M. So it's silly and ridiculous that a game that is targeted to, very obvious and blatant about its target audience being adults, to have that censored is ridiculous. It is another example of Sony and the PS4.
Silly mountain is more like molehill.
Interesting. It took me 120 hours, 54 minutes, and 33 seconds apparently to beat Ragnaros in 60. I don't know why it was counting that number, and it didn't tell me it was counting that number. I didn't know I had to do it in less than an hour. Ooh, but I did win a card back for doing that. That's weird. That is weird. I didn't know I was gonna have to, or needed to beat it. And I don't know if I care, per se, either. Meanwhile, we need hero powers used some more, and we need some beasts, so let's play Hunter and see if that clears out some things over here. Alright, next game we have on Steam is Tag Sexual Content, so let me just look at the screenshots to see if there's anything that would be not YouTube friendly. Seems fine. We have a game here called Blood Opera Crescendo, which you see there's this thick border around it, and it's not even out yet, so I don't know why I'm looking at it. It looks like it's probably an RPG Maker game with a different art style, but I don't know if I can really call this a good art style or not. This might be a new kind of Western art style, and that might explain some things. Otherwise, it may just be a bad game. The good news is, since it's not out yet and it doesn't have a release date out, it's something I don't have to actually consider. I'll just consider it when it actually comes out. So let's go ahead and get rid of those two things. But yeah, I don't know why that was on the What's on Steam Twitter feed, I guess. Gamatsu has an article here. London Detective Mysteria for PC launches July 31st. This is a otome, meaning young maiden, visual novel. So interesting. Here we've got a trailer that's rated M for blood and such, so I won't show that just in case the trailer does have anything in it that is inappropriate for YouTube or not YouTube friendly. Speaking of YouTube, turns out a lot of comments now all of a sudden are getting flagged as spam. So if you try to put comments on my videos and you don't see them, it may take me a while to get around and fix them. Now I put out a video that was talking about what I did to fix the micro stuttering for Lego games and Resident Evil 4. And someone put this long article saying, no, what you did is wrong and won't work. And I'm like, I just did it. It worked, first of all. And then they linked to another video. And I was going to approve it. And then I realized that it was linked to another video. And I go, oh, wait a minute. This is just a spam person. This is someone just promoting their video against their competitors. And so I flagged that as actual spam. So don't put links to other people's videos on my videos if it's just something that is going to completely ignore my video and say you're wrong and just be rude about it, and then B, promote something else. But then there's also people that are just saying I love your videos and they're getting flagged as spam. And if that's spam, that's the kind of spam I want, quite frankly. Like, I'm perfectly happy with spam of people saying, thanks, I love your videos, I love that you play old games. Like, that's not spam. And I don't know why YouTube is flagging it as spam, and I can't really do anything to get YouTube to stop it being flagged as spam. So, even in my small corner of being a small-time YouTuber with very few fans that gets very few comments, there's an effect certainly that I'm feeling as YouTube seems to get more and more draconian against comments in particular. And they have two categories. There's spam and inappropriate comments, and they're getting flagged as spam. So there's a difference there that is weird.
The victory is yours.
Moving on, we have a game here called Tennis Amazing Tournament. Looks like it's a VR tennis game. It might be kind of good, but it's probably a little generic. Early access requires VR, $5.39 discounted. English only. Honestly, I've seen better attempts at tennis games in VR, so I'm not going to put this on the follow list. It's not even a good effort in the name. It's a pretty low effort name of Tennis Amazing Tournament, so we'll do that. Get rid of that. Alright, so where does this put me now? I need to use my play Beast and Hero, and I guess I need to do this. We'll play as the Druid. That's probably the best bet. I may have to play some amount off screen too. TechRaptor has an article here. Go bananas over Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD on October 29th. I assume this is the game that was being called like Tinsin Super Monkey Ball in Asian countries. So it's a remake of an old title and it arrives in current generations. So, okay. A remake of the old Super Monkey Ball games is not a terrible thought. They probably are a slightly physics-based game because you're rolling a monkey and a ball around to solve puzzles. So updating the physics and putting that on a smoother engine with tighter controls makes some sense. Of course, it might also just be an extremely low-effort remake that doesn't do any of that.
One shot.
Next, we have a game on Steam here called Nightmare Reaper. This looks like a old-school Doom clone style game being sold as a brand new game. Now, if this is a less than $2 game, there might be an idea here, but this looks like Super Mario Bros. 3 on the screen. So, it seems like there's a Game Boy inside the game. That seems like nostalgia on top of nostalgia on top of nostalgia. And it feels like you might be a character that is playing as a character that's losing their mind. Or having a nightmare, which would make sense. $16.14 discounted early access as way too expensive. And look at the number of achievements. Is that 89 achievements? This is an achievement game, clearly, and not worth the effort. I like the thumbnail though. I don't like any of the other visuals. Let's see.
Back to work.
In return,
Mind if I roll need?
let's see. TechRaptor has an article. Resident Evil 5 and 6 launch on the Switch just in time for Halloween. So, yay. Nobody really wants to play Resident Evil 6, but Resident Evil 5 is decent enough. Now, playing these games on the Switch, I don't think the controls would be any better, because by the time 5 had rolled around, the Resident Evil series was more going for an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller layout. It was only 4 that was originally designed for the Wii nunchuck. If you put 4 on the Switch, which I think it already is on the Switch, and you're using the Joy-Cons like you would a Wii nunchuck, there might be something to that. But even in that, there is a pretty big chance that it's not gonna
No problem.
work well for you. Okay, let's just do this. Let's play this.
Up to no good.
And then this. And this. This. I could have killed this guy, actually,
I'll take that.
but I guess there's no need to. We're gonna win.
Back to work.
Yeah, we are in a weird position with now the Switch Lite
One shot.
not really allowing you to use the Joy-Cons like Wii's. That destroys any ability to play an old Wii game, but they weren't really doing anything with that ability anyways. So whatever. Also, I believe that they have announced a better battery life switch, which that seems weird too, that you would make a version that very well could just be a giant like it could be just a bigger battery version with nothing else changed. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Control, the game Control, side missions and gameplay and screenshots. Collect samples of an unusual mold from the Bureau Professor. I really wish they'd start labeling in quotes or something the names of all games as the names of the games get crazier and crazier, or in this case less proper nouns. I think officially at this point we're getting too hyped on the game Control. There's a decent chance Control will be a bad game. It's always worth mentioning that. It's like there's a decent chance that these games that are getting overly hyped may be mediocre at best. And so we need to see it come out. I don't think it's going to be too long until Control is actually out, and we'll start seeing some real reviews of people who played it, hopefully from beginning to end. Next we have a game on Steam here called Atrium, which says it's a board game, but these animations tend to make me think it's just an asset flip, like 3D game. I guess maybe there's something to maybe it's making a 3D model of the board game, but I don't really see the point of that. This looks like this is just Cars Corone under a different title. Do I want to play Carcassonne? Yeah, I believe it's the actual name of the game. I always mispronounce it. $22.49 discounted. Single player, multiplayer, English and French. I'll put this on the follow list, but I'm being rather generous. That is a really high price for a Carcassonne clone. That seems like it is just directly stealing that idea. Now, maybe Carcassonne stole the idea originally and Atrium is the original, for all I know, but that's still a high price for what is a board game. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD coming to the West for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on October 29th, and PC this winter. Updated graphics, optimized control schemes, and a new minigame and online leaderboards. That's pretty much everything you would probably want. And let's see, is there any videos really worth mentioning or showing here on the trailer? Not really. Alright, so this is probably a really good time for Sega to announce a Super Monkey Ball game when there's literally nothing else being talked about or spoken about. So it's a really dead time. It's a great time for any company to come out and say, hey, actually we're gonna re-release this game as a remaster. So put it on your wish list now, and then people will forget about that announcement when we start seeing more games come out. Let's see.
Get in there and fight,
This.
Giddy up.
And that. And that. And that.
Mind if I roll need?
Double time and double
Fill the field with this. Tech Raptor has an article here. Tetris Effect will make its PC debut on the Epic Games Store next week. I did not realize that the Tetris Effect game was not on PC, which kind of sucks because I definitely would like to play Tetris Effect. In fact, it would really clean up my wish list if I were to buy Tetris Effect and then not have to buy some of the other Tetris games that arguably aren't as well received. Of course, the fact that it's going to the Epic Store means that it will potentially take 6 months to a year before it comes to Steam, but I can certainly wait for a Tetris game. It's not like there aren't other ways to play Tetris if I was desperate. Tetris Effect, in fact, is probably a great example of a good game that it does not equate to a system seller, or in this instance a platform seller. I doubt very much that anybody would move from Steam to making an Epic Store account just because I wanted to play Tetris Effect. Speaking of the Epic Store, Sid Alpha has put out 2 videos talking about how there is something back-end on the back-end database of the Epic Store that is having games be removed from your purchase history. So in some instances that means you will get a game, whether you're purchasing it or getting it for free for the Epic Store, and then when you uninstall that game it disappears and you can't install it again. Instead you have to purchase it a second time. And there's been also instances of people losing access to their Fortnite accounts or something like that because there's like multiple emails and customer service is there seems to be just a considerable amount of bad back-end support and customer service support happening as far as the Epic Store goes, and it's not particularly a good place to have an experience or to do business. I don't want to every single time I have to talk about the Epic Store point out that the Epic Store is awful. Unfortunately, there's new news and new reports that it's awful. So how do you react to that as a video game journalist, other than just to report the facts as you know them? I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna play this. And then I'm going to play this.
I fight.
Another game is coming out for Xbox One that is Torchlight 2 with a pre-order bundle. I don't generally cover games coming out to Xbox, but Torchlight 2 coming out is definitely an excuse for me to potentially play Torchlight 1 and show that off, and potentially also work my way towards playing Torchlight 2.
A tango?
I fight.
Sever my wrath!
Here we go. Let's see, we already talked about that. We don't need to talk about it a second time. There we go, another victory. Am I using my hero power enough? No, I'm not. We've done 12 beasts now, and I think at this point we need to probably call it a day for the European account, and we'll leave this for Friday. Let's switch over to the Asian account and see what state that is in. While we're doing that, we have a game on Steam here called Round Rooms, which seems like it is VR Unity asset flips of Round Rooms. You have 60 seconds to look around, I guess, and then memorize everything. This would be a game I would be terrible at, absolutely terrible at. There's just nothing here that would work. 99 cents for the price, a bunch of languages supported. It does not have VR, so it looks like a game that was designed for VR. But since it isn't, it's just you're looking at a round room. This feels way too much like an asset flip game than it does a true attempt at making a memorization game. And even if it is a true attempt at a memorization game, it's not something I will want to play. Now on the Asian account we have Challenge a Friend. So this is, if this person, I don't know what they're doing right now that I can't challenge them or view them. There you go. Challenge a standard deck. Please say yes. Alright, well then remove the person if they're not gonna do a challenge a friend. We don't need them as a friend. That's the rule. So I may struggle to find a challenge a friend. We need to play some high cost cards, we need to draw cards, and we need to look at this tavern bell. So I need to either win or lose. That's the two options here. Is I need to either continue playing these all the way to the end and finish the run for really no reason, because my time will be huge, or lose because then it will move to the new weeks of tavern brawls. Let's see.
I'm suiting up.
And let's move on to the next thing. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Kickstarter has suspended the funding campaign for an online game, Raw, over honesty concerns. It's supposed to be a sandbox MMORPG inspired by GTA Online and Rust. Let's see what's the quote here is. Our rules and guidelines ask the creators seek to raise the amount of money needed to bring a project to completion and fulfill any rewards, said the Kickstarter representative. This Kickstarter stated in an update that you would need to raise additional funds outside of Kickstarter to complete the game. We require projects to be honest and clearly presented, and the project failed to meet that standard. Raw amassed $193,332 with 3,983 supporters when it was suspended, beating its funding target of $78,818, which is to say that is a really small amount of money. Unfortunately, this issue is kind of the way Shenmue was done, and it's been the way a lot of the successful developers have succeeded on Kickstarter. They've succeeded because they've just straight up lied about like how much funding they really need. They ask for $300,000 when they really needed $1 million. Once they get that $300,000, they find a publisher. The publisher gives them the rest. I guess perhaps this is an instance of the developer themselves being maybe a little too honest, and if they had hidden the fact that they knew that they were going to need more money, they might have been in a better position. Let's see. There's a quote here from the FAQ, it seems. It says, quote, "Of course we need a lot more than 79,000. The minimal comfortable amount is about 300,000. We said earlier that there will be several fundraising campaigns." End quote. So, yeah. This might be a good thing, though, because this might be the beginning of Kickstarter really caring about how things play out, and how honest the campaigns are going forward, which can only really in the long run make Kickstarter a more viable and reasonable option, whereas right now I 100% don't support anybody supporting a Kickstarter. I think that is just the insanity of a pre-order of a pre-order of a pre-order, and so yeah, I don't think that would be a smart move.
Did someone say bomb?
Job's done.
TechRaptor has an article here. Kill Wa Kill IF demo impressions. Rock, paper, scissors, sword. I'm not going to show any of the screenshots because almost every screenshot of Kill Wa Kill is going to be slightly lewd and showing a little bit of skin. So, because that's what the anime was all about. Actually, most of the screenshots have been handpicked, I guess, by TechRaptor. The final chapter in this story, which is all you probably need to read, says it kind of obviously and easily. The final chapter says, "If you're a fan of the story, it seems that you'll get all that you want. Maybe even a bit more when compared to the visual novel storytelling in some of other anime titles. The covers challenge is fun, but feels like a tacked on gameplay mode. There will be those that enjoy it, but it mostly seems like it's there to add variety and maybe even foreshadow some later fight in the story game. At its very core, the mechanics of Kill La Kill IF are solid. It's a fun mix of all-out anime combat and some footsies as you try to bait out your opponent into a move you can counter and punish." So, sounds like it might be a decent game, which is good news, because when you're talking any kind of anime style game, there's a decent chance that it'll be a low effort development. I would also say TechRaptor is probably not your source for Japanese anime-inspired fighting games. So if they're liking it, that's probably high praise. Speaking of fighting games, apparently, overwhelmingly, people wanted to play Smash Brothers, I think, Ultimate. For the EVO event, by a massive lead. So one would take from that there's a there's some popularity. But I'm not sure if Smash Brothers Ultimate is the most recent Smash Brothers game. I think it might be, but it might be the second most recent game. Alright, he sealed his own fate there. take that and play this. Next we have a game on Steam called Starfighter Infinity. This looks like it's a fly around in space and shoot at things game. Did never interest me. Yeah, and I don't see anything visually that interests me about this game in particular. Early access, $19.99 with no discount. It works with the Valve Index. This is the first time I've seen anything labeled as working with the Valve Index. But it doesn't seem like it requires any VR. It's English only. Nope, nothing here really interesting. You would kind of assumed that the developers of VR games would very quickly label their games as working with the Valve Index without really even testing or trying that, because I think it's pretty cross-compatible with the HTC Vive anyways, unless I'm horribly mistaken about that. Let's see. This and this and this and go ahead and play this. There we go. I put a lot of bombs in the hand, but probably not enough to lose. Let's see. Komatsu has an article here. Darksiders 3 DLC Keepers of the Void is now available. Fury takes on new puzzles and enemies of the Serpent Holes. This is basically, I think, I've heard some people claim that it was accidentally released and it's kind of an unfinished DLC, but might also just be a case of, yeah, the video launch trailer is missing. Might just be a case of THQ not really caring and just kind of putting it out there. I don't know what else you can say or do with this. It's just that's it's pretty much all. It is what it is at this level. They didn't really do a great job with the initial advertising and release of this. Oh, I should have used that. That sucks. Yeah, it's just been a terrible launch for Darksiders 3. When I get around to getting Darksiders 3, and it's 2 DLCs, I assume there'll be just like a Game of the Year edition type experience. And that'll be that. Alright. How do we want to do this? That. And play that. Play that.
I got a bomb for you.
Do that.
Take that! Listen here!
Now, is it worth it to hold on for one turn, or should I just play this right now? Let's just hold on for one more turn. Yep. Here you have Tech Raptor's spin on it. THQ accidentally rolls out unfinished Darksiders 3 DLC. Let's see. The company accidentally rolled out Darksider's second DLC expansion to some players before it was ready to go. The expansion titled Keepers of the Void is due out today. However, people claim that their Xbox downloaded it. The expansion launched with no achievements and some clearly unfinished assets. It seems like... So this might be a real thing that happened. This might be that just somebody on Reddit mocked up an image and that was that. So yeah, maybe they accidentally leaked out the wrong version, and that would make some sense.
Take that!
Listen here!
So all I need is one bomb here and I'll win. Yep. Now will it continue drawing cards? Nope. So now we need to take 25 turns. I'm still trying to play minions that cost a lot. Just play more bomb cards. Yep. Next we have a game on Steam called Kim Shooter. This seems like this is just a top-down shooting game, low-effort game. Probably trying to sell on some controversy. It's early access. It's discounted to $6.39, English and French. I don't see anything here interesting as far as the gameplay mechanic or artistically, visually, anything interesting. So I won't be putting that on the follow list. Let's see. Next game we have on Steam is called Lost Orbit Terminal Velocity, which might be something. These screenshots are very different. It seems like you might be racing in space in a spacesuit. Let's see. There might be something to this as a racing game. Then again, this might just be a slightly more visually polished Infinite Runner. It's discounted to $8.99. Supports a bunch of languages. I'll give this a follow. We'll see what the people who purchase it and review it think. I'm probably being a little bit more generous than I should be today, but whatever. Gamatsu has an article, Fighting EX Layer version 1.3.0 update launches July 17th. So it's a flat 2D, 2.5D anime style fighting game from the looks of it. Okay. Let's see, can we watch this without... Yeah. It's 2.5D fighting game. I think Fighting Layer EX is probably on the list of the top 10 fighting game series to consider playing if I can ever get around to figuring out how and like if I can ever figure out what the order and how many fighting games I really want to play. And seeing that it is labeled seeing that it is constantly getting updated, that tells me that it is a still popular and in development game series. Let's see. this.
Fly, Polly.
This. This. And
Take that!
kill this guy, I guess, for safety's sake. Here we have an article on Gamatsu. They updated their previous article that Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz in the West is called Tabagoro Super Monkey Ball. So that is the same game that we've been seeing getting registered for as a copyright requirement. So yeah, we don't have two Super Monkey Ball games coming out, just one by two different names, depending if you're west or you're in the west or the east.
Take that!
We've got to hope that this works. Come on, hit this guy.
Have I got a bomb for you?
Job's done.
Let's see, next game we have on Steam here is called Soulfire, which looks like it is a action platforming game, maybe with some Dark Souls style swinging and backstabbing in a 2D environment. This looks like it might be an actual game of some interest. So I'll put it on the follow list. It's early access. It's discounted to $14.44. It's English and simplified Chinese. So this might be one of the emerging, potentially good Chinese games coming to Steam. Is this single player? No, it's multiplayer only. Aw, man. I was about to put it on the follow list, but it's multiplayer only, so can't really cover it. Because I don't cover multiplayer games. Let's see.
To Northred!
Take that!
Victory on deck!
Seems like we're probably gonna win here. Like, we would just need 2 bombs this turn, or work on it and play some more bombs. So yeah, you're in this funny position where after this next turn I attack here and it puts a bomb in here, but then that's kind of it. So that, draw cards, see if I can get something besides a bomb that would deal some damage. Oh, wait, no, I can just make him draw all cards and then win there. I wasn't even thinking about that. So to beat Ragnaros in this one, it took 119 minutes.
This place as my secret lair.
What I think these tavern brawls are doing, though, is they're doing the equivalent of the solo experiences. So maybe now I've beaten the solo experiences? I don't know. Like, what should happen? So still need to take more turns and still looking to challenge a friend. Let's stick on this for a second. What should happen though is I should be able to go in here and it should start something different, and that's not happening. Friendly challenge. Please say yes. Please say yes. Says he's heading into a tavern brawl. I did say yes. Okay, great. I'm gonna just take over here. Sure. Share my cards. No way. No problem there. We'll take Mech Hunter. We'll play Paladin. That seems like that will work fine. Meanwhile, we've got a game over here called Medievals, for lack of a better term. A better way to pronounce that. This might be an asset flip 3D game, or this might be a real game. It looks a little asset flippy, particularly when you have what looks like a medieval environment, and then you go through here and you're in a horror hospital environment of some sort. So that's confusing. Single player only. It's discounted to $8.99. It's English and Italian. It's 22 achievements. I'm going to be extremely generous and put this on the follow list, but almost certainly it's going to get terrible reviews. Guess we could watch the video. What's going on over here? It seems like he's taking his sweet time to decide. Is this another instance of Japanese / Asian players on the Asian account? Sorry, saying yes but meaning no, so they're just going to sit here forever and never pick a deck? That might be the case. Might be a connection issue too, but I doubt that's the issue. I've only had these kinds of experiences on the Asian accounts where people will do things like this. Yeah, he said yes out of a weird Asian politeness and then said no. So yeah. That is like the one unique thing in particular about playing on the Asian account is the different manners you get, for lack of a better term. Who do I want to play as? Warlock. Let's just play as this. Sure, why not? Play as priest. Yeah, I'm looking at the video for this game. I guess it's Mad Evils is how you pronounce it. I don't think it's a game. I think it's an asset flip game. It's too weird looking, and it's an inconsistent visual aesthetic, for if I want to get technical about my description. So I'm not going to put that on the follow list. TechRaptor has an article here. Luigi's Mansion 3 will launch on October 4th according to Amazon.com Mexico. So, yeah. Luigi's Mansion as a series is in a slightly weird position, because if you played Luigi's Mansion 1 on the Wii and had a fun time, you very possibly never got a 3DS and played Luigi's Mansion 2, which then puts you in this position where you've missed the sequel to the game, and thus now jumping to the third in the game. On the other hand, if you played Luigi's Mansion 1 on the 3DS when it was re-released, then you're in a weird position also. Alright. Sure, we'll just steal this card since we're gonna win rather quickly. What does this do? That would have been +2 attack. I could have used that earlier. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Ubisoft defends the Watch Dogs hit record partnership amid speculation work criticism, which is exactly what it is. I don't know what they can really say to defend this as a policy. It's just greedy. It's just not the way artists and creators should be treated. Even if you are just a student in high school who wants your art to show up in Watch Dogs, this is not the foot to use to start your career on.
That is impossible.
What? Oh.
No problem.
Well, that was useless. Just hurt myself there. So yeah, you should always put a value on your art, even if you put a very low value on your art. You should not do speculation work. Just to put it bluntly, the value of art can easily plummet if you work for free. And I can attest to a very similar, a very not similar industry that has the exact same problem, and that is working as a computer guy, an IT guy. If you are trying to run a computer shop that sells custom builds of computers, or if you are trying to do basic tech support things like scan for viruses and defragment hard drives, backup hard drives, things like that. I don't know how many people actually charge to defragment a hard drive, but if somebody is so computer illiterate that they bring in their computer for you to do that, fine, so be it. Charge a price on that. That whole industry pretty much has been destroyed by what I think were referred to as pizza computer guys. Guys who would fix computers for a pizza. And so you had a whole generation of people who were computer science majors, people who went to college, and they're trying to run their computer shop. And instead you have a lot of young people that think they know what to do, and often in most simple situations can fix a computer just fine, but they lack the education, they lack the experience, and they definitely lack the intelligence to realize there is a value in the actions that you're doing, and you are way undercharging it for it. And it was in part with that happening that we started to see a lot of instances where you will get a lot of IT support given to you for free if you sign up for a larger service. So, for instance, satellite TV dish used to just have nothing to do with like mounting TVs on the wall or anything to do with the internet or anything like that, and then they started expanding, going, oh yeah, we can actually for an extra fee do that. Best Buy, at least in its early days, was 100% around just selling computers, and then they introduced the Geek Squad. The Geek Squad is a prime example of pizza computer guys and IT guys, people who were completely unqualified to be working on a computer, getting put in a position mostly for their appearance. And how do I know for their appearance? Because they literally told me when they were setting up Geek Squad, I interviewed for that position, and they said, we don't really care about your level of education, we just want you to wear black shoes and white socks and black trousers so you look like a geek. That's all they wanted. They just wanted the appearance of geeks. They didn't want any intelligence. And Geek Squad definitely put out of business a lot of small mom and pop computer stores, and probably put out a few radio stores too, and electronic stores.
I can taste the mana.
There we go. So yeah, if you're an artist, don't work on spec, don't destroy the field of art and the value of art. Particularly when art creation requires a ton of downtime to be done properly, and requires a lot of understanding, knowledge, and feeling of emotions, things that are very hard to quantify. It's not just the hour it took you to draw a picture, it's the lifetime up until that hour that you had to live to know what to draw. Moving on from that probably pretty poorly worded rant, TechRaptor has an article here. Hay fever lets you sneeze across the world, coming to PC and Mac early 2020. This looks like it is a low effort pixel graphics game. The idea of propelling yourself by sneezing might be a slightly interesting idea, but really that's just Flappy Bird again. That's kind of all this is just Flappy Bird again. So I am unimpressed by this hype article, for lack of a better term. Actually, I have quite a few things still to talk about, but I think we may just finish early. So let's see if we can try and burn through a lot of this. We have a game on Steam here called Shrine of the God Ape, which looks like a platformer, 1001 Spikes, Super Meat Boy type game. Let's see, it's discounted to 89 cents. It's English only, says it has full audio. I see nothing here that I would want to play because I don't like these kinds of games. So that's not gonna make it. Next we have a game on Steam called Robo Instructus, which, what is this?
I can fix anything.
Looks like you're a programming game. Another programming game. Put it on the follow list of what is increasingly now getting too long as a list of programming games. This is discounted to $10.39 and English and several other languages. Yeah, I'll put it on the follow list, but I don't think this beats a lot of the Zachtronics games. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam that's just a bunch of Asian characters. This looks like it's a Chinese RPG, maybe adventure game. It's tagged Adventure Strategy. English is almost certainly not supported. It's $19.99, simplified Chinese only, so of course I can't cover that game. Doesn't look terrible, doesn't look great.
Give me a quest.
Alright.
Swarm them.
Next we have a game on Steam called Prime Orbital, which seems like it's probably 3D models with some kind of no purchase textures, and it seems like you're just flying around in a bunch of ugly, colorful graphics items. This is probably not as low effort as some other low effort games, but it still doesn't feel like it has a visual aesthetic that has been thought out at all. and it seems like they are just using bright colors to hide the fact that they didn't want to purchase textures. Yeah, I see nothing here that appeals to me. It's early access, $19.99, English only. Alright, let's play this.
The Fire Lord.
And then play this.
I'm not ready.
Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Supremacy 1914. This is a strategy game that's already mixed, so I'm not going to bother to put it on the follow list for that reason. Looks like it's a Risk style strategy game or a World War II style strategy game. It's free to play, multiplayer only, so many different reasons why it couldn't make it to the follow list. Let's see.
Cthulhu is my shield.
Let's see, what does this do? Alright. There we go. Here we have a PC Games In article. Twitch viewership stagnates for the first time as its competitors gain ground. So July 15th, 2019, more reports suggest Twitch competitors are catching up. Okay. Yeah, that's... I think we already covered a similar article to this in a previous stream. It does seem like Twitch is losing some of its luster. What's funny about the Amazon.com Prime Day issue in particular is that that game they had a tie-in sale called Twitch Sells Out, and it seemed to really just be promoting a very small amount of games, and it didn't seem like Twitch was really getting promoted on Amazon.com in any way. So you're definitely definitely having some conflicting messages and definitely not coordinated messages. It felt like some of the games that Twitch were selling were games from other platforms also, so that was a little weird. So I'm pretty sure they were selling Steam codes for a game through Twitch, which I don't even know how that would really work, but somehow it seems like it has. We don't have anybody online right now, so it doesn't make any sense to try and challenge a friend. If we can beat this guy, which is big if, we should get the reward. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, The Legends of Heroes Akatsuki no Kiseki Mobile is coming to the Switch this summer in Japan. So, another... in this case, it's a mobile game, I think, coming to the Switch, which you don't see a lot of that. It's an online story RPG, first launched for PC and later released for PS Vita and PS4. Oh, I guess it isn't a cell phone game. Interesting. And I'm not 100% certain where the Legend of Heroes series is, if that is a long-running series of RPGs or if that's just several games have a similar title to that. So there's still a lot for me to figure out. Might as well do this for no reason. Oh, those cursed coins. I forgot about them. We have a game on Steam here called Noct True Tales of Robin Hood. This feels like this might be a text-based game. Yeah, yeah, it looks like it's a mostly text-based game. Although it's labeled as an RPG adventure and is story rich. It's discounted to $16.99, English only. This is way, way too low quality to be selling for $17. And here's a sob story. It's taken me 6 years to make this game. You should have given up after 2. Frankly, if you were just making a text-based game. There was no reason to spend that much effort on it. So I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna hit this guy. Alright, now I can just see the end of the road right now, so if we probably are gonna have some stuff left over. Next we have a game on Steam that's a bunch of Asian characters, Card Monsters Dungeon. This feels like this is probably a collectible card game, trying to steal ideas from like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't look particularly interesting. It's discounted for $8.09, simplified Chinese only. It looks like it's possibly a mobile game that's been ported to PC. Right. We can do this. And then the turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Beats Warrior Neon, which this is another dungeon. What is that game? Where you have to follow the rhythm as you're crawling in the dungeon. Well, it's another rhythm-based game. So I'll give this a follow because it looks like it's more of a 2D platformer game where you have to follow rhythms. $2.69 discounted, English and Chinese. It probably isn't a good game, I'll fully admit that, but I'll want to give it a chance. Crypt of the Necrodancer is the name of the game I'm trying to think of, by the way.
Quest accepted. Job's done.
Alright, what can I do right now to save the day? Because this is what's going to be the problem. We need to kill 2 of these.
Quest accepted.
And then just go ahead and use the hero power because we can. And then another turn. Let's see. Komatsu has an article here for the PS4. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, 5-minute video and live stream special is set for July 18th. That's an announcement for an announcement. So, not too much you really need to take from that.
Quest accepted.
Did someone say bomb?
Can we win here? I'm sorry, I'm coughing like crazy. Here we go. That'll win for us. I haven't even been talking very much. It's just another example of I need to really take a month off of no talking whatsoever. 3 more games. 3 more games. It's what it wants. Three 1/1 boombots at the beginning of the game. This is by the card. Alright, Gamatsu has an article here. An Overlord themed Picross, Lord of Nazarick, has been announced for the Switch. Now, Picross, Overlord, there's a game called Overlord that is, I'm just wrapping up airing Overlord 2 on my channel. Overlord, however, in the time since that game has come out, has also been the name of an anime series. This is the Overlord. It's an isekai, meaning another world anime series. There was a human playing this character in an MMO. The MMO shut down, and then he woke up in a world like the MMO, but a lot more detailed, and he can't log out. He's got a collection of people that are underlings for him because he was like the highest player in the MMO possible. What does that have to do with Picross? Nothing. It's just Picross is just this game. It's just pictures that you're drawing based on a number, or I guess in this case color rules. So this is a weird tie-in for sure. I guess Overlord is relatively popular, but I doubt this would come over to the West because it's way too niche. Certainly, what this also says is that they don't really want to make a RPG or a story-based game based on the Overlord anime, which sucks for sure, but whatever. Not every anime needs a video game based on it. In fact, almost no animes need video games based on them. They tend to be pretty bad. So yeah, I don't think I actually need to use my hero ability, so guess I was a little wrong about that. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Artifact Adventure Gaiden DX is coming to PC July 31st. This again looks like a tiny 8-bit pixel style RPG. Nothing that looks that interesting. It originally launched for the Switch on June 6th. I doubt there's anything in this that would make me want to play this. I think playing a game like this, in fact, would really just make me want to play old NES games like The Legend of Zelda instead of playing new games that look like old games. Alright. How can we do this so this won't end up just destroying me?
Give me a
I don't think there is a way to do this without this ending up destroying me. Yeah, I didn't look at any of the Twitch presents, which apparently is something I should follow, but it seems like Twitch presents has only like 54 views in total too, so Twitch presents was Twitch sells out, and yeah, that didn't seem like that worked. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. Fatal 12 for the PS4 opening movie. Due out August 8th in Japan with English and Japanese tech support. Fatal 12 is a mystery visual novel. So there's a entry movie here that I'm crossing my fingers and hoping is YouTube appropriate. Yeah, I think you're trying to keep all of these 12 people alive, and you're in this like time loop, and the time loop never really solves the way you'd want it to, so you're constantly saving one person for only to find that the next person down the list gets murdered instead. And so it's probably a complicated system that you will eventually have to figure out to make sure all 12 of them survive. And inherently in any story like that, there's a decent chance that the way you get the 12 people to survive is by sacrificing yourself in some kind of noble action. Let's see.
Don't push me.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam here that's a bunch of Asian letters. It's called Nino's Isekai, which, same word, another world. Isekai, very popular, or at least being sold quite a lot. Maybe not as popular as some would think. This feels like this is just a combination of a lot of different art aesthetics and what looks like a busy and probably uninteresting card-based RPG. It's early access, English is not supported, it's free to play, it's Chinese only. It doesn't look that good. But yeah, I don't really have anything else I have to say about that. Play this. Do that. And that. If he has any reform coins, he'll lose at the beginning of this turn.
For Blackwing.
I guess he played the reform coins. But I'll still win, regardless. Let's just take that victory. So that should have been our 4th victory in that issue. And so now we should just be playing to get 2 more victories for the other reason. Next we have a game on Steam called Bridge Builder Racer. This looks like a clone of better versions of games like this. If this becomes super popular, I'll hear about it and put it on the follow list. But right now I'm going to just dismiss it because it doesn't look like it is significantly better or different versus Bridge Constructor Pro or whatever the several other games on Steam are called by this style of gameplay. It's $3.39 discounted, English only. Maybe if you played all the other bridge constructing games, this would make some sense, but it doesn't really make any sense to me that it's coming out in 2019. Gamatsu has an article here. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 has been delayed to October 22nd in North America and Europe. Alright. Fair enough. Standard Japanese announce a date and then push that date back strategy. We have a game on Steam here called Wanderfog, which seems to be a massively multiplayer game by the tag, and looks to me like it is a low effort asset flip game. It's $2.99 discounted, MMO only, English only. Yeah, not making it to the follow list. Do we want to wait till next turn? Yeah, let's just wait till next turn. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called 8-Bit Pigeon Hunter. This is clearly a clone of Duck Hunter. That being said, is this downright copyright infringement of Duck Hunter? I think it probably is. I think it is substantially too close to Duck Hunter for this to be on Steam. It's $1.99. It probably doesn't play too well because you're gonna have to play with a mouse, and I would not suggest people buying it and supporting it, because this is a DMCA legitimate claim waiting to happen. Plus, it's just lazy, frankly. If you're gonna make a new Duck Hunter, improve the graphics with some assets that you buy for free, or you buy very cheaply from the Unity or the Unreal stores. Improve the gameplay modes. Original Duck Hunter had the 1 duck, 2 duck, 1 player, 2 player modes. It had the discs modes, the clay pigeon modes. So there's a lot more even in the original game than what you're seeing as a comparison. Let's see. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. Next we have a game on Steam called Rocket Boy. A lot of these games I think I probably could have curated, particularly if I knew I was going to get stuck in doing these tavern brawls. Rocket Boy is $1.99, English only. There's nothing visually interesting. It looks like an MS Paint game. Let's see.
Cthulhu is my shield.
Attack here, here, and here. Yep, we are close to victory.
I wield the power of Black Wind.
Let's see. Discover a spell. Take this. Take control of an enemy minion. Sure, why not?
Oops, I broke a tie.
So another victory. I'm not sure I didn't lose some daily quests, by the way, because there may have been some daily quests happening every day for the Fire Festival. If I did, oh well, I don't care enough, frankly. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Terraforming Mars developer Lucky Hammers has closed down. I don't recall a game called Terraforming Mars. It must have not been that good. Apparently they were working on an unreleased game called Mansions of Madness, Mother's Embrace. I do recall seeing a game by that name. Quote, we're working very hard to make sure all our employees can find a new home and studios where they will be able to keep expressing their creativity and their art by making games, end quote. So, what did I say about companies going out of business in 2019. It's been a while. We were seeing quite a few layoffs and shutdowns in the first 2 quarters, where you would typically expect them to happen. So it has been rather quiet lately, as far as massive amounts of shutdowns and layoffs, although we've had little bits of layoffs here and there. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more layoffs after November, after Black Friday, into the end of the year. That would not shock me one bit, if that's where it starts going. Let's see. Just gonna wait, I guess. I can just wait. TechRaptor has a article here, and I want to mention it, but we're going to talk about the Humble Bundle anyways. Humble, very positive sale, brings sunshine to the Humble Store. So there's quite a few games on sale at the Humble Store. I don't typically buy games directly from the Humble Store or Fanatical, as it was the spin-off of the Humble Store. But there is a Humble Bundle that I think I might purchase. Although that being said, I might be rather over budget this month too.
Job's done.
With the Amazon Prime Day, that in particular was front-loading a lot of purchases that otherwise would have been spread around over a much longer period of time.
My hand is full.
Alright, we gotta do something here. This and this and in the turn, I don't think this guy can attack. Nope, he can attack. Darn it. Gonna have to kill him rather quickly.
Cthulhu!
Just trying to play out cards here. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article. A look at how Nowhere Prophet combines roguelike and card mechanics. I've never heard of this game, Nowhere Prophet, so it's probably not out yet. But I like the thumbnail. Nope. This is apparently still in development, or it's not actually a video game. Yeah. It launches July 19th, so that's an advertisement for lack of... Let's see. Attack and health of a minion.
You love my new recipe. Oops, I broke a diamond.
Job's done.
I'm gonna die before I get to a point where I can play. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article here. Ghost Recon Wildlands free update to add 8-player mercenary modes on July 18th. If anybody is playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, which I think is out right now. Alright. This.
Taste the mana.
And I should have played this. Let's see. This.
I wield the power.
He's making me run out of cards, but he's about to run out of cards too, so I don't know what his strategy here is. Unless he's got a Mechathune.
Happening.
But he still would have to get rid of a lot of cards. Nope, he's just gonna defeat me. Well, I think that puts us in a position where, let's see, I need to play things that cost 5 or more, which I could do off screen. We do have the BlackRock Crash here is open, so we got that reward. So we'll come back on Friday and make sure we got all of the Tavern Brawls. We got more Tavern Brawls than we really needed. Let's just focus on finishing some of this news and then wrapping up, because we've been going long today and I'm coughing like crazy. So Gamatzer has the PlayStation China Joy 2019 press conference set for August 1st update. What's weird here is it was only earlier, a couple months ago, that they had a announcement for some Chinese funded games. So what are we gonna see, like 5 or 6 Chinese funded games via PlayStation? And this is really crazy. You have PlayStation being owned by Sony of Japan, then giving the Sony Interactive Entertainment division over to have its headquarters in California, and then California immediately, it seems, and these could be all just coincidences, it seems like they immediately start funneling money into development and publishing games that will sell in China and games that are developed in China. Wow, that's almost a direct linear funnel of currency. Alright, let's look at the rest of these games and see what else I need to talk about versus what I don't need to talk about. See, this game here, True North, looks like a low effort asset flip first person shooter, if any of these images will load. I don't even know why they're not loading at this point. Yeah, this looks like a bad game. 39 cents discounted English only, so I'm gonna mostly focus on mentioning bad games so I can get rid of things. Here we have an article I don't really need to read in its entirety. TechRaptor has the Uplay Plus games list revealed for upcoming subscription service. Here's a bunch of pictures of Uplay games. There's several games. Here, two Hano games, a bunch of Assassin's Creed, pretty much everything, including Odyssey Ultimate Edition, Beyond Good and Evil, Brothers in Arms, Child of Light, Far Cry games, Might and Magic games, all the way. Do they have Might and Magic 1? I don't see Heroes of Might and Magic 1 on here. I don't see anything before Might and Magic 7 regular games on here. Monopoly Plus, Prince of Persia games, they've Ubisoft has forgotten that they even made the Prince of Persia games at this point. Rayman games, Silent Hunter games, I didn't know that they did make that game. The Crew, the Settler games, Tom Clancy games, in a nutshell. If you want to play all the Tom Clancy games, this might be the service for you. Watch Dogs 1 and 2, and Zombie. So, not a hugely compelling list of games for $14.99 a month. That's incredibly expensive. I cannot imagine that you would find even 3 games throughout the course of a year on that list that you'd want to play to justify what you would be paying for that. Here we have a visual novel game that is called Le Intranger, which sounds French, but I don't know what that word would mean. It's like stranger with an S, with an E instead of an S. This looks like it's a probably Chinese visual novel. It looks a little simplistic, although the art style is not terrible. It's a little, I'd call it more unique. It's free, and yeah, it's Chinese only, so seems like for the price it can't be that bad. Let's see, Gamatsu has a Streets of Rage 4 Behind the Tracks developer diary that you could watch. I don't think I care too much about Streets of Rage to spend the extra time to watch this, so I'll wait for the actual reviews of the actual game. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Humble, very positive bundle 3 now live. We'll talk about that later. It doesn't make sense to have TechRaptor describe what I'm just going to show in a second. I think what I'll do is I'll look through some of these games off screen, and if they're just total garbage, we'll ignore them and I'll remove them. Gamatsu has an article here. Jump Force free update adds the playable characters of Galena and Kane. I have no idea who these are, but I assume they are from the original characters designed by the Dragon Ball artist Akira Toriyama. Alright, so they're just made up characters that will probably never show up in Dragon Ball. Well, never say never. I wouldn't be surprised if 5 years down the line they actually do show up in some Dragon Ball Super episode. Gamatsu has an article. The Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game adds playable Vegeta, Piccolo, and Gohan, which it really wouldn't have been much of a game if it wasn't going to add those characters and several other characters. So I assume Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which I'm not sure exactly how that game is going to play, but obviously they're going to let you play as other characters. Up until this point, they had only said Goku was playable, but I don't think anybody really was taking that seriously. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. Last Labyrinth's second trailer. Katie, Phantom, and main staff detailed. This is the weird game where you're stuck in a wheelchair and this ghost-like girl is taking directions from you to escape this escape room, and it looks like it's a very weird game. Like it was half designed for it's designed for VR to start off with, and so it's working around the idea of, well, you're going to be stuck in a seat playing seated VR, but they're going to try and make an escape room style experience. And this trailer still doesn't really show how the gameplay is really going to play. This is a game that has intrigued me with its visuals, certainly, and it's how in the world is it going to actually turn out to be a good game question, and I imagine the answer will probably be it actually won't be a good game, and you'll just be left with some slightly intriguing visuals. Gamma Sutra has an article. The outsourcing studio Pole to Win, P-O-L-E to Win, expands with a Montreal office. I've never heard of Pole to Win, and this is probably too inside baseball. Outsourcing, not something you really ever want to hear any company doing, because that's not a good thing. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article. The indie publisher Private Division splits from the Swedish developer The Outsiders. Weird that Private Division was the indie publishing label owned by Take-Two and has parted ways with the Swedish developer The Outsiders, which I guess, what did The Outsiders develop? They developed a game called Darkborn. Apparently the relationship broke down in 2018. I've never heard of Darkborn, so it must have not been that impactful of a game as far as I can recall. Gamatsu has an article here. The Humble Bundle publishing label is going to reveal new games and partnerships during a showcase on July 19th. So these will be games that I think probably do eventually make their way to Steam, because we've seen a few Humble Bundle games make it to Steam. But they might also be Epic exclusives. Who knows? They probably aren't going to be amazingly good games. A growing story is coming up about Switch owners who are saying Joy-Con controllers are prone to drifting just after months of use. It seems to be very common. Now, the Xbox One controllers and the Xbox 360 controllers also had some drift, but not after months of use, after about a year of use. And that's pretty heavy use. So you would have hoped that something designed for kids would be more sturdy, but it seems like that's not the case. The ESA, I have to applaud them when they do a good thing. As a lobbyist group for the video game industry, tweeted out this Forbes article, How Girls Making Games is Inspiring the Next Generation of Game Developers. So yeah, raw women in programming. My fear is always too many people of any gender are getting pushed into programming, and there will not be as many jobs as people think. So it's a happy-go-lucky piece, and Forbes just is full of a page after page of ads and things, isn't it? So yeah, I would never say discourage your child from getting into programming. I would simply say encourage them to do a wide variety of things. You know, maybe being a butcher, maybe being a welder, maybe driving long-haul trucks might be skills that worth picking up too. Has somebody who spent their entire education focusing on programming and then really didn't end up using it as much as he would have thought, and found that there was actually quite fewer IT jobs than what people thought were going to happen on programming jobs in general. Just have a varied experience and try to learn a little bit of everything. Learn how to learn. Don't learn a specific trade, because trades come and go, and generally with automation they're all going. So here we have the Humble Bundle, very positive 3 bundle. For $1 you get Distraint 2, it seems like. Yeah, there's a 2 there. Unexplored, and Rusty Lake Paradise. I don't believe I own any of those games, so that'd be a good purchase. For over the average of $5.24 as of right now, you get Bindi and the Ink Machine. Is that the complete story, or is that just chapter 1? It says complete edition. Prison Architect, I may already own that, but that wouldn't be too big of a deal to double up on. And Next Machina, which I don't believe I own. And if you go $10, you get Shantae, which Shantae 1 Half Genie Hero is the game I definitely want. So I might be spending $10 on this bundle. As for other bundles, I don't think there's another games bundle. There's a PlayStation games bundle that has a few more days on it, and that's it. Alright, so as we're trying to wrap up here, and apologies for that, let me just look at my Twitter feed. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to re-roll this Challenge a Friend, and I'm gonna play this daily quest off screen. And so let me just quickly scroll down. Gearbox official 2 hours ago said, tune in tomorrow, July 18th, as Gearbox plays Battleborn story mode on co-op couch. Stream goes live at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So they're pushing Battleborn. Did Battleborn have a story mode, or is this brand new thing coming out? Whatever they do is too little too late as far as Battleborn happens. Twitch support said 2 hours ago, we made it easier to express yourself and communicate with others. Chat, a clearer layout, prompts letting you know when you can share a milestone and more. So they've updated their chat interface. Let's see. Alienware's co-founder Frank Azor is now AMD's chief architect of gaming solutions. That's a little inside baseball, but that might be interesting. Although I'm not sure Alienware really did anything technical other than just good branding to sell hardware, and not even particularly the greatest hardware, in my opinion. Alright, and yeah, there's no other tweets. So we are done with this stream. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.